The stars reflected off the massive windows of the Eternal Triumph, the pride of the Vakresh Empire's war fleet. Supreme Commander Velthak stood with his arms crossed, watching the distant blue planet on the display screen. It looked peaceful, small, helpless. Another easy conquest, he said to his officers gathered around the tactical table. The holographic display showed Earth spinning slowly, marked with red targets across every continent. This primitive world will surrender within 2 days. 3 at most. His officers nodded in agreement. They had conquered 847 worlds together. Earth would be number 848. Sub-Commander Threekon stood at the back of the room holding a data tablet. His face showed concern, but he stayed quiet. He had learned long ago that questioning Velthax was dangerous for a military career. Still, something about this mission felt wrong. The tactical officer, a young Vakresh named Kelvin, brought up the intelligence reports. Supreme Commander, our scouts have observed the planet for 3 months. The dominant species calls themselves humans. They have primitive nuclear weapons, combustion-based aircraft, and basic satellite technology. Nothing that poses a threat to our shields, Velthak smiled, showing his sharp teeth. What is their population? 8 billion, sir. Divided into multiple nations that constantly fight each other. They cannot even unite their own planet. The room filled with clicking sounds, the Vakresh equivalent of laughter. A species that fought itself would fall easily. It always did. Their largest weapons? Velthax asked. Nuclear fission devices. Crude explosives that they fear to use because of radiation contamination. Our shields can absorb dozens of these weapons without damage. Perfect. Prepare the invasion fleet. 500 warships. 2 million soldiers. We will land in their major cities simultaneously and force immediate surrender. Threekon finally spoke up. Supreme Commander, if I may. The room went silent. All eyes turned to him. Speak, Velthak said coldly. I found something in the old archives. This planet has a classification designation from the ancient records. It is marked as a Class 15 Deathworld. Several officers made dismissive sounds. Velthax waved his hand. Those classifications are thousands of years old. Superstitions from our ancestors who feared the unknown. Sir, the archives say that no species from a Class 15 Deathworld has ever been successfully conquered. The notation specifically warns against enough. Velthax's voice echoed through the command center. I did not conquer nearly 1,000 worlds by believing in ancient ghost stories. Look at them. They fight with metal tubes that shoot small projectiles. They fly in machines that burn liquid fuel. They are primitive. Threekon lowered his head in submission. Yes, Supreme Commander. The Class 15 designation means the planet is dangerous. Harsh gravity, violent weather, aggressive predators. It says nothing about the intelligence of the species that evolved there. Dismissed. The officers filed out, already discussing how they would celebrate their victory. Threekon remained behind for a moment, looking at his tablet. The archive entry was brief but clear. Class 15 Deathworld. Extreme caution advised. Species evolving in such conditions develop unusual survival adaptations. Historical invasion success rate 0. He deleted the report. There was no point in keeping it. Velthax had made his decision. Far below on the blue planet, Commander Minho sat in the underground command center beneath Sol. Banks of computers surrounded him, each screen showing different data. Satellite feeds, radar systems, deep space monitoring stations. Sir, we are still detecting those gravitational anomalies, reported Lieutenant Bora, her eyes focused on her screen. Whatever is out there, it is big. Very big. Minho leaned forward. How many signatures? At least 300. Maybe more. They are trying to hide, but our new detection system is picking up the distortions in space. 300 unknown ships. Minho said quietly. That is an invasion force. The room became tense. Every officer stopped their work and looked at their commander. Contact Commander Yuna on the orbital platform. Tell her to bring all defense systems online. Make it look like a routine test. Yes, sir. Minho stood up and walked to the large display showing Earth. Somewhere beyond that beautiful blue planet, something was coming. He had spent his entire career preparing for this possibility. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they were about to get their answer. Sir, should we alert the governments? Asked another officer. Not yet. We need confirmation first. If we are wrong, we cause a global panic for nothing. If we are right, we will need every second to prepare. On the Eternal Triumph, Velthax watched the final preparations. His fleet was ready. His soldiers were equipped with plasma weapons that could cut through any armor humans possessed. His ships had shields that made them nearly invincible. His victory was assured. "Supreme Commander, we are ready to jump," reported the navigation officer. "Excellent. Set course for Earth. We will arrive in 3 days. Send the standard invasion message to their primitive communication systems once we enter their space." "Yes, sir." "What should the message say?" Velthax thought for a moment. "Tell them they have one chance to surrender. If they refuse, we will take their planet by force. Make sure they understand this is not a negotiation." The fleet engaged their hyperspace drives. 500 massive warships vanished from normal space, traveling faster than light toward their target. In Seoul, alarms suddenly blared across every screen in the command center. "Sir, the gravitational anomalies just disappeared." Boris shouted. "They jumped," Minho said calmly. "They are coming." "Calculate their trajectory." Computers worked frantically, analyzing the distortion patterns left behind by the Vakresh hyperspace jump. "They are heading directly for us, sir. Estimated arrival time, 72 hours. Minho picked up the red phone on his desk. This line connected directly to every major government leader on Earth. He had never used it before. He hoped he would never have to. He lifted the receiver. "This is Commander Minho of Earth Defense Command. We have a situation. Unknown hostile fleet, estimated 500 ships, will arrive in 3 days. This is not a drill." "I repeat, this is not a drill." "Initiate Protocol Omega." Across the planet, in government buildings and military bases, other red phones started ringing. The message spread quickly. Humanity had exactly 3 days to prepare for the first alien invasion in history. In space, Commander Yuna received the alert on her orbital defense platform. She looked out at the stars, beautiful and peaceful, and wondered which direction death would come from. "Bring everything online," she ordered her crew. "Weapons, shields, communications, everything. And send a message to every satellite, every station, every ship in orbit. If something comes through that is not ours, we shoot first and ask questions later." "Yes, Commander." Yuna smiled grimly. Whoever was coming, they would learn quickly that humans did not go quietly into the night. Earth had been fighting and surviving for 4 billion years. Her people had inherited that fighting spirit. Let them come, she thought. Let them come and see what happens when you threaten humanity's home. The sky above New York City tore open like someone had ripped a hole in reality. 500 Vakresh warships appeared all at once, their massive hulls blocking out the sun. Each ship was 3 times the size of an aircraft carrier, covered in weapons and glowing with purple energy shields. People on the streets stopped and stared upward. Some screamed, some ran, some stood frozen in fear. On the Eternal Triumph, Velthax smiled. This was always his favorite moment. The moment when a new species realized they were no longer the dominant power on their world. "Open communications to the planet," he ordered. Every television, radio, and computer on Earth suddenly displayed the same image. Velthax's face appeared, his alien features strange and terrifying. When he spoke, the translation came through in every language simultaneously. "People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Velthax of the Vakresh Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. You have 1 hour to surrender your governments and military forces. If you comply, your lives will be spared. If you resist, you will be destroyed. You cannot win. Do not fight. You will only die." The message ended. Silence fell across the planet for exactly 5 seconds. Then Commander Yuna's voice broadcast from the orbital defense platform, transmitted on every frequency the Vakresh were using. "Unknown hostile fleet. This is Commander Yuna of Earth Defense Force. You have entered our space without permission. You have threatened our people. Here is our response. Come and try." She cut the transmission and looked at her weapons officer. "Fire everything." The orbital platform lit up like a star. Missiles streaked through space. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. Laser batteries painted the darkness with beams of coherent light. Every weapon humanity had placed in orbit opened fire at once. The Vakresh shields absorbed most of it, but not all of it. 3 Vakresh destroyers took critical damage. One exploded, its reactor overloading in a massive fireball. The other 2 began falling toward Earth's atmosphere, trailing fire and debris. On the Eternal Triumph, Velthax stared in shock. "They fired on us?" "They actually fired on us?" "Sir, they damaged 3 ships." "Impossible." Our intelligence said they had no weapons that could penetrate our shields. Threekin checked his console. Commander, those railguns are firing solid metal at extremely high velocities. Our shields are designed to disperse energy weapons. Kinetic weapons are more effective against them. Velthax's face darkened with anger. It does not matter. 3 ships out of 500. Begin the landing operations. I want troops on the ground in every major city. Show them what happens when they resist the Vakresh Empire. Landing craft poured from the warships like angry insects, thousands of them, each carrying 50 Vakresh soldiers in powered armor. They descended on New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Seoul, and 100 other cities. In Seoul, Sergeant Daehyun watched the landing craft come down from his position on a rooftop. He held a radio in one hand and a rocket launcher in the other. All units, this is Daehyun. Wait for my signal. Let them land. Let them get out. Then we hit them. His soldiers waited, hidden in buildings and underground passages throughout the city. They had spent 3 days preparing. 3 days setting traps, planting explosives, and turning their own city into a weapon. The first Vakresh landing craft touched down in the middle of a major intersection. The doors opened and 50 soldiers in gleaming armor marched out, their plasma rifles ready. They looked around at the empty streets. Where were the humans? Where was the resistance? Daehyun pressed the detonator. The street exploded. Charges planted under the pavement in the surrounding buildings and inside parked vehicles all detonated simultaneously. The shockwave shattered windows for 3 blocks. The landing craft flipped over and burst into flames. 30 Vakresh soldiers died instantly. The remaining 20 scrambled for cover, their superior armor damaged by the blast. Now, hit them now. Daehyun screamed into his radio. Gunfire erupted from every window, every rooftop, every doorway. Hundreds of human soldiers opened fire at once. Bullets ricocheted off Vakresh armor, but not all of them. The aliens had tough protection, but they were not invincible. A Vakresh soldier took 3 rounds to his helmet. The first 2 cracked the visor. The third went through. He fell backward, dead. The Vakresh returned fire with their plasma weapons. Buildings burned. Concrete melted. Humans died screaming, but more humans kept coming. For every one that fell, 2 more appeared. They fought with a ferocity that shocked the Vakresh soldiers. These humans did not retreat. Even wounded, they kept fighting. Even dying, they kept pulling triggers. In the sky above New York, Captain Jiho led his squadron of fighter jets toward the Vakresh warships. His radio crackled with voices from other pilots. Captain, our missiles are not getting through their shields. I know, Jiho replied calmly. He had expected this. Humanity's weapons were designed to fight other humans, not aliens with energy shields. But humans were good at adapting. Follow my lead. We are going in close. Sir, that is suicide. Maybe, but we are going to take some of them with us. Break formation. Individual attack runs. Aim for their weapon ports and engines, and if your plane is hit, do not eject. Aim for their hull and hit the afterburner. His pilots understood. Jiho was telling them to turn their jets into missiles, to sacrifice themselves to damage the enemy. Not one pilot objected. They dove toward the warships, flying faster than the Vakresh point defense systems could track. Jiho's jet screamed past a destroyer, so close he could see the aliens inside through the windows. He fired his remaining missiles directly into an engine port. The explosion tore a hole in the ship's stern. Atmosphere vented into space. The destroyer began to list, its engines failing. Jiho pulled up hard, feeling the G-forces crush him into his seat. His jet had taken damage. Alarms were blaring. He would not make it back to base. This is Captain Jiho. My bird is dead. Going in for a final run. Negative, Captain. Eject! Eject! Tell my family I love them. Tell Earth it was an honor. He pointed his dying jet directly at the bridge of a Vakresh cruiser and pushed the throttle to maximum. The jet accelerated faster and faster, until it slammed into the warship at supersonic speed. The cruiser's shields flickered and failed under the kinetic impact. The jet penetrated the hull and exploded inside the bridge. The massive warship went dark, its command crew dead, and began a slow tumble through space. On the Eternal Triumph, Velthax watched his tactical display in growing horror. Red markers showed damaged or destroyed ships. Already he had lost 20 vessels, 20. He had never lost more than 3 ships in any previous campaign. How are these primitives doing this? He shouted. Where is their fear? Threekin looked up from his console, his face pale. Commander, I am reading reports from ground forces. Our soldiers are taking heavy casualties. The humans are using guerrilla tactics, ambushes, traps, suicide attacks. They are fighting like cornered animals. Then hunt them down. Use the orbital bombardment weapons. Sir, if we use those weapons in the cities, we will kill millions of civilians. I do not care. Make an example. Show them what resistance costs. A plasma beam lanced down from orbit, striking a residential area in Mumbai. Buildings vaporized. Thousands died in an instant. The beam cut a scar across the city 5 kilometers long. But the human resistance did not stop. It grew stronger. In hospitals, medical staff treated wounded soldiers and sent them back into battle. In factories, workers converted production lines to make weapons and ammunition. In homes, families built bombs from household chemicals and fertilizer. Dr. Hanna, a xenobiologist, examined a captured Vakresh soldier in a military hospital. The alien was wounded but alive, contained in a sealed room. Fascinating, she said, studying the scans. Their biology is completely different from ours. Lower bone density, weaker immune system. They evolved on a planet with less gravity and far fewer pathogens. What does that mean? Asked the military officer watching her work. It means they are vulnerable to things we consider harmless. Common Earth bacteria could kill them. Our gravity makes them tired faster. They are not adapted to our world. She smiled coldly. Commander Velthax invaded a planet that is actively trying to kill everything on it, including them. Around the world, the first day of invasion ended. The Vakresh had landed on Earth expecting easy victory. Instead, they had lost 32 ships and thousands of soldiers. In the underground command center, Commander Minho reviewed the reports. The casualties were heavy. Too heavy. Earth had lost hundreds of thousands of people in the first day. But the Vakresh had lost more than they expected. Much more. Status report, he ordered. Sir, enemy forces control several major cities but are facing constant resistance. Our forces are inflicting 5-to-1 casualty ratios in urban combat. Enemy morale is declining. They are requesting reinforcements. Minho nodded slowly. Good. Let them request reinforcements. Let them commit more forces. The more they send, the more we will destroy. Sir, can we actually win this? Minho looked at the young officer and smiled grimly. They made one fatal mistake. They gave us something to fight for. Something to die for. Our home, our families, our species. Humans have been fighting and dying for causes since we climbed down from the trees. They have no idea what they have awakened. 2 weeks after the invasion began, Velthax realized his army was dying, not just from human weapons. From Earth itself. Another 40 soldiers dead. He shouted at the medical officer. How? They were in a secured camp behind our lines. The medical officer, a Vakresh named Dr. Koth, looked exhausted. Infection, Supreme Commander. Their wounds became contaminated with local bacteria. We tried our standard medical treatments, but nothing worked. The bacteria here are extremely aggressive. They multiply faster than anything we have encountered before. They died from tiny organisms, not from enemy fire. Yes, sir. Earth has trillions of different bacteria species. Our immune systems have no defense against them. Even small wounds are becoming fatal. Velthax sat down heavily in his command chair. This was not how wars were supposed to work. You fought the enemy. You won or lost based on weapons and tactics. You did not lose soldiers to invisible organisms. What else? He asked quietly, already knowing there was more bad news. The planet's gravity is stronger than our home world. Our soldiers are becoming exhausted faster. Their bones are stressed. Several have developed fractures just from normal movement. The atmospheric pressure is higher. The oxygen content is different. Commander, our soldiers are not designed for this world. Threekin had been right. This was a Class 15 death world. Everything about this planet was hostile to life that had not evolved here. In the Amazon rainforest, Commander Taeyang led his special forces team through the dense jungle. Behind them, a Vakresh patrol struggled to follow. The aliens moved slowly, their armor catching on branches, their feet sinking into the muddy ground. Now, Taeyang whispered into his radio. His team vanished into the jungle like ghosts. The Vakresh soldiers looked around nervously. Where had the humans gone? A soldier screamed. Something had bitten him through a gap in his armor. He looked down and saw a small spider. Just a spider. How dangerous could it be? 2 minutes later, he was convulsing on the ground, foam coming from his mouth. The venom of a wandering spider, harmless to humans with proper treatment, was lethal to Vakresh biology. Another soldier slapped at his neck. Then another. Mosquitoes, dozens of them, hundreds. The insects swarmed around the aliens, biting any exposed skin. Each bite transmitted diseases: malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever. Diseases that Earth humans had learned to resist or treat. Diseases that the Vakresh had never encountered. By nightfall, half the patrol was dead or dying. Not one human had fired a shot. Taeyang watched from a safe distance through his binoculars. Report back to command. The jungle is on our side. Let the Vakresh come into the forests. Let Earth do the fighting for us. In Seoul, engineer Jiwoo worked in a factory that had once made automobiles. Now it made weapons. The workers had converted the entire assembly line in just 3 days. How many can we produce per day? Asked the military liaison officer. Anti-armor rockets? About 500. Ammunition for rifles? 2 million rounds. We are also working on something new. A weapon specifically designed to fight Vakresh soldiers. She showed him her design. A modified rifle that fired ammunition coated with earth bacteria cultures. The bullets did not even need to be fatal. A minor wound would introduce the bacteria into the Vakresh bloodstream. Infection would do the rest. That is biological warfare, the officer said quietly. They invaded our planet, Jiwoo replied coldly. They killed my family in the first bombardment. I will use every weapon Earth has to destroy them. Every single one. The officer approved the design. Across the planet, humans were adapting to the invasion. Civilians joined militias. Scientists weaponized biology and chemistry. Engineers built new weapons from captured alien technology. Children too young to fight served as messengers and scouts. Earth had become a single organism with one purpose: survival. Medical officer Nari worked in an underground hospital, treating wounded soldiers. She also treated captured Vakresh prisoners. Some protested, saying the aliens did not deserve medical care. We treat them because we are better than them, she said firmly, and because we can learn from them. She interviewed a wounded Vakresh soldier named Ventar. He was young, barely old enough to serve in the military. His leg was badly broken from a fall. The stronger Earth gravity had snapped the bone like a dry stick. Why do you fight so hard? He asked her in broken English he had learned from a translation device. You cannot win. We have conquered 847 worlds. You are just one planet. That is exactly why we fight, Nari replied, setting his broken bone. Because we are one planet. This is our only home. We have nowhere else to go. You can retreat to your empire. We can only fight or die. But so many of you have died already. And we will keep dying until you leave or we are extinct. That is what it means to be human. We do not surrender our home. Ventar looked at her with something like understanding in his alien eyes. We thought you would be like the other species. Afraid, weak, willing to submit to save yourselves. We are afraid, Nari admitted. Every day. But fear does not stop us. It makes us more dangerous. On the orbital platform, Commander Yuna coordinated Earth's space defense. Her platform had taken heavy damage, but the crew had made emergency repairs using parts from destroyed Vakresh ships. Commander, we have a problem, reported Lieutenant Sora, who had been transferred from submarine command to help with space operations. The enemy is adapting to our railgun tactics. They are keeping their shields at maximum power and maintaining distance. Then we change tactics again. What do they not expect? Sora pulled up a tactical display. Ma'am, I have an idea. It is crazy, but it might work. Right now, crazy is all we have. Tell me. We still have 3 nuclear submarines in the Pacific. They are equipped with ballistic missiles. What if we launch those missiles at the Vakresh fleet? Nuclear weapons will not penetrate their shields. Not the warheads, ma'am. We remove the warheads. We fill the missiles with steel balls. Thousands of them. We launch them straight up at maximum velocity. When they reach space, the missiles break apart and create a cloud of projectiles moving at orbital velocity. The Vakresh will be flying through a minefield at thousands of kilometers per hour. Yuna stared at her. That is either brilliant or insane. Maybe both, ma'am. Do it. Contact the submarine fleet. Launch authorization code Delta 77. 3 hours later, a dozen missiles rose from the Pacific Ocean. The Vakresh fleet detected them and prepared to destroy them with point defense weapons. But the missiles were not heading for the ships. They went straight up, climbing higher and higher. When they reached the edge of space, explosive bolts fired. Each missile broke apart, releasing 10,000 steel balls into orbit. A Vakresh destroyer flew directly into the cloud of projectiles at full speed. The steel balls tore through its shields like bullets through paper. They punched holes in the hull, shattered weapons, destroyed engines. The ship went dark and began to fall toward Earth's atmosphere. 2 more ships took critical damage. One exploded when a steel ball penetrated its reactor. The other lost half its crew when the projectiles ripped through the living quarters. Velthax watched in fury as his fleet suffered more losses. How are they doing this? They are primitives. Sir, Threekin said carefully, they are not primitives. They are survivors. There is a difference. They have evolved on a world that constantly tries to kill them. They have learned to use everything as a weapon. The planet itself fights alongside them. I do not care about their evolution. I want them defeated. Commander, perhaps we should consider withdrawal. We have lost 78 ships. Over 50,000 soldiers are dead. Another 20,000 are sick or injured. Our casualties exceed any campaign in Vakresh history. This world is not worth the cost. Velthax stood up, his anger making him shake. We do not retreat. The Vakresh Empire does not surrender to primitives. Send a message to the homeworld. Request reinforcements. Another 500 ships. I will bury this planet under the weight of our military might. Threekin bowed his head. He had tried to warn them. Now they would all pay the price. On Earth, Commander Minho received the intelligence report. The Vakresh were calling for more ships. More soldiers. They were committing everything to this invasion. Good, he said quietly. Let them send reinforcements. Let them send everything they have. His officers looked at him in confusion. Sir, how is that good? We are barely holding them off now. More ships will overwhelm us, Minho smiled grimly, because every ship they send here is one less ship defending their empire. Every soldier they commit to Earth is one less soldier protecting their worlds. They are gambling everything on defeating us, and when we win, when we drive them back, their entire empire will be vulnerable. Sir, you really think we can win? Lieutenant, we are fighting on our homeworld. Every breath we take, every step we make, this planet supports us. For the Vakresh, every breath is poison. Every step is exhausting. Every wound is potentially fatal. They are fighting against Earth itself. He looked at the display showing their beautiful blue planet. And Earth has been killing things for 4 billion years. 3 months into the war, everything changed. Captain Jiho climbed into the cockpit of his new fighter and smiled. It looked like a human jet, but the engines hummed with stolen Vakresh technology. The weapons were a hybrid of human and alien design. The shields were pure Vakresh, ripped from a downed destroyer and rebuilt by human engineers. Testing complete, reported the ground crew. All systems green. You are cleared for launch, Captain. Finally, Jiho said, let us see how the Vakresh like fighting their own technology. He had survived his suicide run 3 months ago. His ejection had worked at the last second, though he had spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Now he was back, and Earth's military had given him the best weapon they had. A fighter jet that could match Vakresh ships in speed, shields, and firepower. He launched from the underground hangar and rocketed toward the sky. 6 more hybrid fighters followed him. His new squadron, the first of many. Blue leader to blue squadron. Formation Delta. Target is the Vakresh cruiser holding position over Tokyo. Command says it is their regional flagship. Let us introduce ourselves. The squadron climbed through the atmosphere and into space. The Vakresh cruiser detected them and launched interceptors. 20 alien fighters moved to engage. Here they come, Jiho said calmly. Remember your training. We are not faster than them anymore. We are equal. That means skill decides the winner. The 2 forces met in a furious dogfight. Plasma bolts and missiles filled the space between Earth and the Vakresh fleet. The alien pilots were experienced and well-trained. But Jiho's squadron had something they did not: desperation and creativity. Jiho dodged incoming fire with maneuvers that would have torn apart a normal jet. His hybrid fighter handled the stress perfectly. He got behind a Vakresh interceptor and fired. His weapons, enhanced with human targeting computers and alien power systems, cut through the enemy's shields. The interceptor exploded. First kill, he shouted. Blue Squadron, press the attack. Within minutes, the Vakresh had lost half their fighters. The survivors retreated to the cruiser, unwilling to face these new human ships. Jiho targeted the cruiser itself. All weapons fire. 7 fighters unleashed everything they had. The cruiser's shields held, but barely. Alarms blared across the enemy ship as the shields flickered and weakened. Blue Leader, this is command. Break off attack. Ground forces are ready to proceed with capture operation. Understood. Breaking off. Jiho did not want to break off. He wanted to destroy that ship. But command had other plans. On the ground in Tokyo, Sergeant Daehyun led a strike team toward the Vakresh Command Center. They moved through the ruins of what had once been a shopping district. 3 months of fighting had turned the city into a war zone. His team was different now. They wore captured Vakresh armor, modified to fit human bodies. They carried plasma rifles alongside traditional weapons. They had learned to fight like the enemy, and then evolved beyond it. Intel says the command center is 2 blocks ahead. He whispered into his radio. 20 soldiers guarding it. Maybe more inside. We outnumber them, replied Lieutenant Mina, his second in command. Numbers do not matter. We need that command ship intact. The scientists want the computer systems undamaged. That means precision, not firepower. They reached the building and split into 3 teams. Daehyun's team went through the front. Mina's team took the back entrance. The 3rd team climbed to the roof for sniper support. 3, 2, 1, go. They hit the Vakresh soldiers before the aliens could react. Daehyun fired his plasma rifle, dropping 2 guards instantly. His team moved like water, flowing around obstacles, covering each other, working as one organism. The Vakresh fought back, but they were slower in Earth's gravity. Tired from months of fighting, sick from Earth's diseases, demoralized by endless losses. In 5 minutes, the building was secure. 20 Vakresh soldiers dead, 0 human casualties. Daehyun entered the command center and found what he was looking for. A communications hub connected directly to the Vakresh flagship. Everything they needed to hack the enemy network. Command, this is Daehyun. Package secured. Send the tech team. Within an hour, human specialists were downloading every file from the Vakresh computer systems. Fleet positions. Supply routes. Communication codes. Technology specifications, everything. On the Eternal Triumph, alarms suddenly blared. Commander! We have been hacked. Someone is accessing our network. Velthax ran to the tactical station. How is that possible? Our security is perfect. They are using one of our own command centers against us, sir. The ground facility in Tokyo, we did not realize it had been captured. Cut the connection. Now, too late, sir. They have already downloaded our entire database. Velthax felt something he had never experienced in his long military career. Fear. The humans now knew everything about his fleet. Every weakness. Every secret. Every plan. Recall all ground forces to the ships. Prepare for orbital withdrawal. We need to regroup and... Sir, detecting multiple launches from the planet's surface. Hundreds of missiles incoming. The missiles were not nuclear. They carried the steel ball projectiles that had worked before. But now, thanks to stolen Vakresh data, human engineers had improved the design. The missiles had better guidance systems. The steel balls had shaped charges that focused their impact. The attack was more precise, more deadly, more devastating. 15 Vakresh ships took critical hits. 3 exploded. The rest scrambled to retreat to higher orbit, but human hybrid fighters harassed them every kilometer of the way. Commander Minho watched the battle from his command center, a thin smile on his face. This is only the beginning. Send orders to all bases. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2, sir? What is Phase 2? We stop defending and start attacking. Every ship we have captured, every weapon we have stolen, every piece of technology we have reverse engineered. We use all of it. The Vakresh wanted to invade Earth. Now they are going to learn what happens when Earth invades back. Around the planet, human forces began a coordinated counteroffensive. In every city where Vakresh soldiers had established bases, human forces attacked simultaneously. They used captured weapons, hybrid technology, and tactics that evolved daily. In the Amazon, Commander Taiyang's guerrilla forces wiped out 3 Vakresh supply depots in one night. In the Arctic, Lieutenant Sora led a team that captured an entire Vakresh transport ship intact. In the deserts of Australia, human forces trapped a Vakresh armored column and destroyed it completely using drones modified with alien technology. Dr. Hana released her biological weapons, modified bacteria that specifically targeted Vakresh physiology. She felt no guilt. They had tried to exterminate her species. Now Earth's smallest defenders would return the favor. The bacteria spread through Vakresh positions like wildfire. Within days, thousands of alien soldiers were sick. Within a week, their medical facilities were overwhelmed. The Vakresh had no defense, no treatment, no cure. Engineer Jiwoo worked 20-hour days improving weapons and training civilian militias. Every factory on Earth had become a weapons manufacturer. Every citizen had become a soldier. The Vakresh faced not just an army, but an entire planet united in resistance. On the orbital platform, Commander Yuna directed the space battle with cold efficiency. Her platform was no longer just defending Earth. Now it was hunting Vakresh ships. Her crew had learned to predict enemy movements, exploit their weaknesses, and destroy them before they could retreat. Commander, we have 3 more destroyers breaking orbit. Should we pursue? Negative. Let them go. They will spread fear among the rest of their fleet. Fear is a weapon too. Medical Officer Nari continued treating wounded soldiers and prisoners. She noticed something interesting about the Vakresh prisoners. They looked defeated, broken. They talked about Earth as if it were hell itself. Your planet is cursed, one prisoner told her. Everything here wants to kill us. The air makes us sick. The water is poisonous. The gravity crushes our bones. The insects carry diseases. Even your bacteria are weapons. How can any species live here? We adapt, Nari replied simply. We evolve. We survive. That is what life does on a Class 15 Deathworld. Your empire made a mistake. You thought Earth was weak because our technology was primitive. But technology is not strength. Survival is strength. In space, the Vakresh reinforcement fleet arrived. 500 fresh warships, just as Velthax had requested. They dropped out of hyperspace expecting to join a victorious invasion force. Instead, they found chaos. The original invasion fleet was scattered and damaged. Human hybrid fighters controlled near-Earth space. The planet below bristled with weapons. The reinforcement commander, Admiral Zethkel, contacted Velthax immediately. What happened here? Our reports said you would have this planet conquered in days. The reports were wrong, Velthax said bitterly. Everything was wrong. This is not a normal planet. This is a Class 15 Deathworld, and the species that evolved here are unlike anything we have faced. Admiral, I recommend immediate withdrawal. This war cannot be won. Nonsense. We have 1,000 ships now. Overwhelming force. We will crush them. You do not understand. They are not fighting with just weapons. The entire planet fights alongside them. They adapt faster than we can plan. They learn from every battle. They turn our own technology against us. Admiral, please order a retreat before— Silence. You are relieved of command for cowardice. I will finish what you failed to start. Minho received the intelligence report about the reinforcement fleet and smiled. They sent more ships, perfect. The more they commit, the worse their defeat will be. Prepare for the final phase. It is time to show the Vakresh Empire what happens when you threaten humanity's home. 6 months after the invasion began, Admiral Zethkal stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His reinforcement fleet of 500 ships had been reduced to 300 in just 3 months. The humans were not just defending anymore. They were attacking. How many ships did we lose today? He asked quietly. 17, Admiral. The humans have learned to coordinate their attacks across multiple fronts. They hit our supply lines, ambush our patrols, and retreat before we can respond. They fight like they have been waging war for thousands of years. They have, said Threekan, who had been transferred to Zethkal's command. I reviewed their history. They have been fighting each other since they discovered tools. Wars lasting years, decades, even centuries. They know nothing but conflict. We gave them a common enemy and they became unstoppable. Zethkal wanted to argue, but he could not. The evidence was overwhelming. Humanity had adapted to the invasion and evolved beyond it. Now they were winning. On Earth, Commander Minho stood before a council of world leaders. Every nation had sent representatives to this underground bunker. For the first time in human history, the entire planet spoke with one voice. The Vakresh fleet is broken, Minho reported. They have lost over 700 ships total. Their ground forces have been pushed back to a few isolated strongholds. We estimate they have less than 3 months of supplies remaining. They cannot sustain their invasion. Then we have won? Asked one leader hopefully. We have survived, Minho corrected. But survival is not enough. The Vakresh Empire spans hundreds of worlds. If we simply drive them away, they will return in 10 years or 20 years with a bigger fleet and better preparation. We need to ensure they never threaten Earth again. What do you propose? We take the war to them. We capture their ships, learn their technology, and strike at their empire. We make them fear us more than we ever feared them. The room erupted in arguments. Some leaders supported the plan. Others called it madness. How could one planet attack an empire that spanned the galaxy? Because we are from Earth, Commander Yuna said, standing beside Minho. We are from a Class 15 Deathworld. We evolved in conditions that would kill any other species. We survived by being tougher, smarter, and more adaptable than anything that tried to destroy us. The Vakresh wanted to conquer Earth. Now we will show them why that was the worst mistake their empire ever made. The vote was close, but it passed. Earth would not just defend itself. Earth would attack. Captain Jiho led the first strike force into Vakresh territory. 50 captured and modified alien warships, crewed by humans who had learned to operate them in just 6 months. It should have been impossible. But humans specialized in the impossible. All ships, this is Blue Leader. We are about to exit hyperspace in Vakresh territory. Their nearest base is 3 light hours from our position. We strike fast, hit hard, and retreat before they can coordinate a response. Remember, we are not trying to conquer. We are sending a message. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace near a Vakresh mining colony. The aliens detected them immediately and scrambled their defense fleet. 30 Vakresh warships moved to intercept. Jiho smiled. 30 against 50. The humans had superior numbers for once, but more importantly, they had superior skill. All ships, weapons free. Show them what Earth can do. The battle was brutal and short. Human ships moved with tactics the Vakresh could not predict. They fought with a ferocity that overwhelmed the alien defenders. In less than an hour, 23 Vakresh ships were destroyed. The remaining 7 retreated. Jiho's fleet destroyed the mining colony's orbital facilities and withdrew before reinforcements could arrive. 0 human ships lost. This is Blue Leader to all human forces. First strike successful. The Vakresh now know we can reach them anywhere. Returning to Earth. On the Vakresh homeworld, the news caused panic. Humans had attacked their territory. Humans, the primitives who were supposed to be easy prey, had struck at the heart of the empire. The Vakresh High Council met in emergency session. How is this possible? How did humans learn to use our ships so quickly? Because they are from a Class 15 Deathworld, Threekin explained. He had been recalled to the homeworld to face judgment for Velthax's failure. Species from such worlds possess extreme adaptability. It is how they survive in environments that would kill us. That adaptability translates to warfare. They learn faster than we can plan. Then what do? Send more ships? No, Threekin shouted. Every ship we send makes them stronger. They capture our technology, study our tactics, improve their weapons. The more we fight, the more powerful they become. We must sue for peace immediately. Peace? With primitives? The Vakresh Empire does not negotiate with lesser species. Then the Vakresh Empire will fall, Threekin said bluntly. Because those primitives are preparing to march on our homeworld, and when they arrive we will have no defense. He was thrown in prison for defeatism, but 3 weeks later, when human scouts appeared in orbit around the Vakresh homeworld, the High Council realized he had been right. Commander Minho stood on the bridge of the captured command ship Eternal Triumph, now renamed Earth's Vengeance. Around his ship, a fleet of 200 vessels held position above the Vakresh homeworld. Every ship bore Earth's flag. Every ship was crewed by humans. Open a channel to the planet, he ordered. His face appeared on every screen across the Vakresh homeworld. Billions of aliens looked up at the human commander who had defeated their empire. People of the Vakresh Empire, I am Commander Minho of Earth Defense Force. 6 months ago, your military invaded my world. You sought to conquer us, enslave us, destroy us. You failed. Now we are here at your homeworld with enough firepower to reduce your planet to ash. Panic spread across the Vakresh homeworld. Citizens fled to shelters. The military scrambled what remained of their defense fleet. But we will not attack you, Minho continued. Because unlike your empire, we are not conquerors. We did not come here to destroy your world. We came to deliver a message. Earth is off limits. You will update your star charts, your databases, your military records. Sol 3, the planet you call Earth, is not to be approached, not to be contacted, not to be threatened. Ever. Any ship that enters our space will be destroyed. Any message that threatens our people will be answered with force. You wanted to make an example of Earth. Instead, Earth will be the example that saves your empire from destruction. He paused. letting his words sink in across the entire planet. You have lost 743 warships. You have lost over 200,000 soldiers. You have lost your reputation as an unstoppable military power. Other species in the galaxy are watching this. They see that the mighty Vakresh Empire was defeated by one planet. If you want to maintain any respect, any power, any future, you will leave Earth alone and make sure the rest of the galaxy does the same. The transmission ended. The human fleet remained in orbit for 3 days, a constant reminder of Earth's power. Then they withdrew, vanishing into hyperspace. On Earth, the victory celebrations lasted for weeks. Humans had faced extinction and survived. They had been invaded and won. They had taken their place among the stars. Commander Yuna stood on the orbital platform looking at the distant stars. Her platform had been rebuilt and expanded. Now it served as Earth's gateway to the galaxy. "Commander, the Galactic Council is requesting diplomatic contact," reported her communications officer. "They want to establish relations with Earth, formal recognition as an independent power. Tell them we will consider their request, but on our terms, not theirs. Earth bows to no one." "Yes, ma'am." In the underground command center, Commander Minho reviewed reports from the final battles. The casualties were staggering. Nearly 10 million humans had died defending their world. Cities lay in ruins. Economies were shattered, but humanity had survived. And more than that, humanity had won. Dr. Hana worked in her laboratory, continuing to study Vakresh biology, not as a weapon anymore, but as a science. She had captured samples from dozens of alien species that the Vakresh had conquered. Now she studied them, learning about life beyond Earth. "Doctor, we have received a message from the Vakresh," said her assistant. "They are requesting medical assistance. Their soldiers are still suffering from Earth's diseases. They are asking for our help." Hana thought about the millions who had died, the cities destroyed, the suffering the Vakresh had caused. Part of her wanted to refuse, to let them suffer as Earth had suffered, but she was a doctor. Healing was her purpose. Send them the treatments. All of them, no charge. Let them see that humans can be merciful as well as dangerous. Engineer Jiwoo converted her weapons factories back to civilian production, cars again instead of bombs, construction equipment instead of tanks. She had spent 6 months building tools of war. Now she would spend years building tools of peace. Medical Officer Nari visited the prison where Threekun was being held by the Vakresh government. She had convinced Earth's leadership to request his release. "Why did you help me?" he asked when they met. "I was part of the invasion force." "Because you tried to stop it. You warned your commanders. You were the only one who understood what Earth really was. That makes you wiser than your entire High Council." Threekun accepted Earth's offer of asylum. He became the first alien to live on Earth permanently, serving as a liaison between humanity and the Vakresh Empire. Under his guidance, both species began to build a cautious peace. Captain Jiho retired from active duty. He had flown over 200 combat missions, destroyed 47 enemy ships, and earned every medal Earth could award. Now he opened a flight school, training the next generation of pilots. Some of his students were children who had lost parents in the invasion. He taught them not just how to fly, but why they flew. To protect, to defend, to ensure Earth would never be threatened again. Sergeant Daehyun became an instructor for special forces, passing on the urban warfare tactics that had turned cities into death traps for the Vakresh. His students learned to fight smart, to use every advantage, to never give up. Commander Taiyang wrote a book about the guerrilla war in the Amazon. It became required reading in military academies around the world and eventually across the galaxy. Other species studied how humans had defeated a superior enemy through adaptation and cunning. 1 year after the invasion ended, Dr. Hana updated Earth's entry in the Galactic database. Where it had once read Class 15 Deathworld Primitive Species, she changed it to something new. Class 15 Deathworld. Inhabited by humans, advanced military power, do not engage under any circumstances. Species possesses extreme adaptability, technological learning capability, and will fight to extinction rather than surrender. Diplomatic contact recommended. Military contact will result in total defeat. She added one more line, a warning that would echo across the galaxy for generations. They asked, "How could you invade a Class 15 death world?" They learned the answer too late. You cannot invade a world where everything, including the dominant species, is designed by evolution to kill you. The commanders understood their doom only when Earth's vengeance was already at their doorstep. Commander Minho stood in his office, looking at a photograph of Earth taken from space. That beautiful blue marble that had survived 4 billion years of catastrophes. That world that had created humans through endless trials and suffering. That home worth dying for. His communication console beeped. Another alien species wanted to establish contact. This time the message was polite, respectful. They called humanity, the warriors from the Deathworld, and asked permission to approach Earth peacefully. He approved the request. Humanity had won its war. Now it was time to win the peace. Earth had entered the galactic stage covered in blood and glory. The Vakresh invasion had failed because they made one fatal error. They saw primitive technology and assumed primitive people. They forgot the most important rule of warfare. Never underestimate an enemy who has nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The galaxy would not make that mistake again. Earth was no longer an unknown world on the edge of explored space. Earth was a power, a force, a name spoken with respect and fear. And humanity, born from a Class 15 death world, would make sure it stayed that way.